I would like to speak right now to the Federal Attorney-General, Andrew Wallace, who joins us on the line. Andrew, thank you for your time. Honestly, why wouldn't the Prime Minister call a Royal Commission? That is what our listeners here at 2GB are asking all day.
Well, Trent, thanks for having me on the program. I just want to correct you something there on the Shadow Attorney-General.
Sorry, yes, I left Shadow out. Sorry, yes.
That's okay. Look, your guess is as good as mine as to why the Prime Minister continues to refuse to announce a federal Royal Commission. This is the worst terrorist attack that we have had on Australian soil, period. 15 Australians died, 42 people were shot on top of that, taken to hospital. This is the worst we have ever seen here in Australia. And for the government now to be turning around and obfuscating and delaying on this issue, it just beggars belief. As you pointed out, Trent, just a moment ago, this is not just the coalition saying this. We've got a former High Court Chief Justice saying that this is what has to happen. We've got Governors General. We've got more than 100 silks, senior lawyers, senior barristers who are calling for this. But most importantly, we've got the Jewish community screaming out for this. Mm. I just had a rabbi in my office 10 minutes ago, and he was telling me about the personal impact on him. And what people don't seem to realise is that they were warning the government that this was going to happen. This came as a shock, but not a surprise. They were warning the government that they were feeling unsafe because of the rise of anti-Semitism in this country, and the government wasn't listening to them. There were clearly some systemic failures here across governments. And for the Prime Minister to be saying yesterday that, we'll just effectively ride off the coattails of Premier Minns's Royal Commission, fundamentally misunderstands how broad and far-reaching the consequences of this event could be. It spans states and territories and the Commonwealth. It spans government departments, civil society, the education sector, the cultural sector, so many parts of our lives. And yesterday he had a crack at the coalition for drafting terms of reference that the government should have done by saying that they were too detailed. Well, the worst terrorist attack in Australian soil demands that we have a detailed federal Royal Commission and nothing less.
I'm speaking to Shadow Attorney-General Andrew Wallace. Andrew, there's been talk from the Prime Minister that his proposal is faster than a Royal Commission. I would suspect, and my listeners here and 2GB's listeners broadly, are not asking for the moment for a pace and a quick result. What they're asking for is in-depth, quality looking into it, a proper outcome, and something that they can make sense of at the other end of it. Do we need a fast outcome or do we need the right outcome?
We need the right outcome. We need a thorough examination of everything that has gone on. The Royal Commission has the powers to compel people to come and give evidence. It has the power to compel the production of evidence. It has the powers to even compel a Minister of the Crown to come and give evidence. These are the sort of powers that only a Royal Commission can have, and a federal Royal Commission has the power to span all of the states and territories and the Commonwealth and all of the departments and agencies within it.
Andrew, Tony Burke said today, and look, again, this is not my opinion, this is from our open line feedback. I think it's too little too late, but Tony Burke said today the government will crack down on hate speech and hate preachers. Will you and your colleagues support the legislation and the government's gun buyback reforms?
Well, we would obviously have to have a look at the legislation that Tony Burke is cobbling together now, but you're absolutely right. It's too little, too late. The Jewish community have been screaming out to the government that they feel unsafe, and those cries have been on deaf ears. But we have said that we will work constructively with the government. But we're not going to sign a blank cheque until we see what's contained in these draft laws. I haven't seen them, and if it's true to form, I suspect I won't see them until death's dark door.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. One last one before you go. Susan Lee was strong in her language yesterday regarding Penny Wong. Some on the front bench have called her the arbiter of grief, and Chris Bowen said this morning, Minister Bowen said that she's not the arbiter of grief. To use one that the Labor Party loves, do you think this risks politicising the issue with their response to that?
Well, I just find it remarkable that the government, being led by Anthony Albanese, always pulls out the unity card when their back's against the wall. When they know that they've done the wrong thing, they demand unity. I was in Sydney with Susan last week. Susan was in down at the pavilion every day, talking with families and talking with people who were quite frankly grieving, whether they had lost a loved one, whether they were there, or just an average Australian who wanted to share the grief of the moment with the Jewish community. Susan Lee and a number of coalition members were there all week, and the visceral pain and grief that was clearly on show at Bondi last week. It is absolutely no wonder that Susan and also my good friend Julie and Lisa were so strong in their condemnation of this government yesterday.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, Andrew. Appreciate your time. Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Thanks, Trent, and yours.
That's the Shadow Attorney-General.
Authorised by Andrew Wallace, LNP, Boccarina, Queensland.